Okay, so we're going to show a lesson today that meets the standard asking us to make a line plot to display a set of measurements of fractional units and then to use operations on those fractions, in our case multiplication and then later division, in order to show the average size or amount of whatever we're working with in a word problem. So with today's problem, we have students measuring the lengths of seeds. And as you can see, they measure them in inches. Now, of course, we wouldn't be doing that in science. We'd probably be using centimeters, but for the sake of our data today, we have inches. And you can see they're all fractional pieces of inches. So before I begin, I'm going to create my line plot, and I'm going to place my amounts that I'm given. So I have 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4. I'm actually going to place those amounts on my line in the order from the least, 1/4, to the next greater number, 1/2, to the largest or greatest amount, 3/4. Okay. I'm also going to give my line plot a title. So I'm going to call it Sizes of Seeds in Inches. And I like to do that so people know what these amounts mean. So they mean that they're the sizes of seeds in inches. And the first step that I'm going to take is I'm going to actually take each amount, and as I go through it, I'm going to place an X on the line plot above that amount so that I have X's to show where these amounts lie on the line plot. I'm going to start by crossing out each one and then making the X. So 1/2, I'm going to put a mark there. 3/4, another 1/2. 1/4 or 1/4. 3/4, another one. Another 3/4, another 3/4, an additional 1/4, and an additional 1/2. Now that I have my line plot completed, I'm just going to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And just a quick look, do I have the right number of 1/2? Yes, I do. Do I have the right number of 3/4? I certainly do. And then, of course, the 1/4. Yes, I do as well. Now I'm going to move this up a little bit because I no longer need that information. I have it located on the line plot. But now, in order to find the average, I know that the average means that I'm going to take the total amount of things that I have added together, and then I'm going to divide by how many I added together. So I'm going to start by doing a little multiplication before I can add. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see how much it was for the size of all the 1/4 seeds, 1/4 inch seeds, all together. I want to know the total of both of these seeds and their length. So I'm going to have to take the 1/4 and I'm going to multiply that times the 2 x's because I had 2 seeds that were that length. So when I multiply numerators and denominators. I have 2/4. I am going to simplify that because I like to simplify everything. I think it's important that we do that. So I'm going to get 1/2 as my final answer. So when I would lay these two 1/4 inch seeds side by side, the total length of those 2 seeds together would be 1/2 inch. So I'm going to write that above in a circle so I know that that is the total length of those 2 seeds put together. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the 1/2 inch seeds. I'm going to take the 1/2, I'm going to multiply that by 3 because there were 3 seeds that were 1/2 inch, and I'm going to get 3/2. Now, that's an improper fraction, so again, I like to make everything into a mixed number, simplest form if possible. I can make 2 out of 3, and then I'll have 1 left over. And so 3/2 is the same, equivalent to 1 and 1/2. So I'm going to write that up here. Let me make sure that you can see that. Yes, you can. And then I'm going to go to the final one, 3/4 times, in this case, 4 seeds that are 3/4 inch long. So I'm going to get 12/4. And this is the same as saying 3 wholes. So I'm liking that. I'm going to put that up here as well. So now I have figured out that my 2 1/4 inch seeds laid side by side will be a total length of 1/2 inch. My 3 1/2 inch long seeds laid side by side will total 1 1/2 inches long. And my 4 3/4 inch seeds, if I laid all 4 of them side by side, they would total 3 inches long. So now I have my totals of my fractional units. I am now going to go to the part where I find the average. And in order to do that, I want to take my totals. So I'm going to add them together. When we do an average, we add together our totals. We total up the data. In this case, we had fractional pieces, so we totaled each one up by itself. And we're totaling up our data from the stem plot, or I'm sorry, the line plot. And I'm going to add this together. So now I have 1/2 plus 1/2. That's equal to a whole. So I'm going to kind of count that as 1 whole plus another one, that's 2, plus 3 is 5. So the total inches of all of my seeds laid side by side would be 5 inches. That's great to know, because to find an average, you would take your total amount, which in our case is 5, and you would then divide by how many pieces of data you had all together. So we had, let's look again, 1, 2, I'm counting X's, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had 9 seeds that we were dividing into our total length. 5 inches divided by 9 seeds is going to give us a fraction of 5/9. That means that the average length of our seed was 5/9 inches. So when you are doing problems at home, what you'll need to remember to do again is to first take your data, place it with X's on your line plot. And by the way, make sure your line plot has a title. Then look at each amount on the bottom of the line plot and multiply that amount by how many X's you got. Don't forget to simplify. And you'll do that for all of the data, however many pieces of data you have. Take each measurement, times it by the amount of X's. Find your totals. Once you've got your totals, then you're going to add your totals together and get that answer. And divide that by how many pieces of data you had to begin with, how many X's. So this is the number of X's on your line plot. When you're all done, you're going to take that division sentence, you're going to turn it into a fraction, and then you're going to use the label that came from the measurement that you used. And that will tell you the average of all your data. Give it a try. I know you can do it. Good luck.